Well, actress Debbie Reynolds is saying that her daughter, Carrie Fischer, is now in stable condition in a Los Angeles hospital. That 3 days after she had an apparent heart attack on a flight from London to Los Angeles. Ms. Fischer, as you may know, has had a history of bipolar disorder and addiction, but there's been no indication, we're told, that she had any heart problems in the past. So what could happen? Dr. Devi is with us, an associate professor at the NYU School of Medicine. Dr. Devi, you know, we're all pulling for her. She's been in overdrive recently, her schedule with the new Star Wars movie, doing lots of interviews. She was in London promoting her new memoirs. And I can imagine there is something that's no more perhaps concerning than being stricken while you're on an airplane. In mid-flight.
Sure. I mean, she's very, very lucky to be alive, not just for the fact that she was on the plane, but also the fact that her heart stopped. They actually had to start CPR, which means she had no pulse and the heart wasn't pumping. Now, very few people survive something like that, so this was somewhat miraculous for her.
They say it was like 15 minutes before the plane got into LAX that there was a nurse on board who was performing CPR. The pilots, of course, radioed ahead, the paramedics at the gate also dealt with her. Reports say she's on a ventilator now at the hospital. Family saying she's stable. But if she stopped breathing for 10 minutes and you're on a ventilator, I mean, what does that mean?
Well, so there are two things. So if you stop breathing, the problem is that both your heart and your brain aren't getting oxygen, right? So you can have long-term damage from that. Then being on the ventilator now, she could still be stable as long as they're getting the oxygen to the different areas, but she's not off the ventilator yet. So she's still, you know, she's not clear yet, right? Now, when I think about these things, I usually think of heart issues as being either mechanical problems or electrical problems, which she might have had both. So this is the idea, like let's say you're watching TV, right? And you have a new TV and it's not working. It's possible there's something wrong with one of the parts in the TV, and that's a mechanical problem. But it's also possible that maybe your battery's not working in your remote or your TV's not plugged in properly, right? So that's electrical. Now, what happens is when someone has a heart attack, they're having a mechanical problem. So the blood that carries oxygen to the heart, maybe that vessel is getting clogged, right? And so if the heart doesn't get oxygen, the muscle can't pump, and the heart is a pump carrying oxygen to the rest of the body.
What's the best way to find out if you have clogged arteries? I mean, is that a stress test?
Yeah, you could. Well, you could do that. I mean, usually, in general, you want to check different risk factors. So if you have high cholesterol, if you have high blood pressure, all of these things put you at risk to have clogged arteries. Now, in her case, too, we think that maybe there was an electrical problem. So that's where the heart stops pumping because the electricity's not working.
And finally, it's an 11-hour flight. And we've heard in the past about thrombosis, that you've got to stand up and walk around an airplane, especially if you're sitting for long periods of time. As passengers, could that have contributed to her situation? And what should we do when we're on long flights like this to prevent, you know, a possible thrombosis?
Well, in her case, if she had a blood clot, if that goes to the lungs, the problem is that your heart may not be getting oxygen because you're not getting enough oxygen into your lungs itself, right? So that's one problem. I mean, if you walk up and down on the plane, if you move quite a bit, that can protect you against a blood clot. And on the other hand, she also could have been on other medications sometimes. And with her intense schedule, sometimes these things can affect your electrolytes. They can have, you know, you could potentially have drug-drug interactions. So all of these different factors could have put her at risk for this event.
Oh, certainly we're hoping that she does pull through, and our thoughts are with her family and all the legion of fans across the country.
Of course.
And prayers for her at this hour. Dr. Devi, good to see you, and thank you for your advice.
Too.
Of course.